Our words make us, and we've had multiple conversations in this series. And I have stressed upon how language that we use with others is important. And I also discussed in a recent video with you that the stories that you're telling yourself are really impacting you in a certain way. If you tell yourselves empowering stories, your results are empowering. If you tell yourselves disempowering stories, then it is disempowering results that you're getting. And the last time that I had met you on this topic, I had shared with you 6 disempowering stories that a lot of us tell about being a victim, about being helpless, about doing things for the acceptance of others, about having this villain script about others, about being a martyr, etc. So go back to that video, and I've left the link to that video in this in the description of this particular video. So do take some time to review it. But today, I want to speak to you and help you understand and gain access to positive stories. So let's talk about change your stories, change your life. And the first kind of positive story that you should be telling yourselves are what I call the observer stories. In an observer story, what you're telling yourselves constantly is to be mindful, be focused, be in the here and now, and to discover life and discover self constantly through the various interactions. In an observer story, you are as good as withdrawing to a level where you are like the observer of your life, watching all the actors, watching the entire motion picture of your story go by. Yes, you will perform certain actions, etc., which I will talk about later in the video. But the primary story that you're telling yourselves is continue to discover life and self, continue being an observer of the life. Never leave that position of being an observer to be so indulgent that you forget the bigger picture of life, that you forget the objectives and the feel of life. When you are a constant observer of life, you gain so much perspective because you are neither withdrawn from life, you are not completely lost in life. You are engaged at a vantage point, and from the comfort of that vantage point, if you have to withdraw, you can, and if you want to engage, you can. That's the power of the first story. The second kind of story that you need to tell yourselves is the karma story, that we are all here to perform certain karmas. And how do you identify what karmas that we have to fulfill? The way that we do that is through understanding our dharma and the dharma of the roles that we are in. So the observation that we have in our life needs to be about the various people, the various relationships, and the various scenarios that we are in, our work, our family, and everywhere. And in that, based on the observations that we have, we need to think, act, and adapt continuously. That is real karma. Deep thought, deep action, and deeply adapting to change as results come. If our thinking and action did not give a positive result, then acquire a new kind of thinking, new kind of action, so that we can get a new kind of result. And that is adaptation continuously. So adapting our thinking and adapting our action is the real adapting of life. So in the karma theory, we are not mindlessly, in a self-sacrificial way, doing actions. We are thinking deeply, acting deeply, and adapting continuously. And while we do that, I mentioned the word dharma. We have to keep the dharma of contribution or the contributor story in mind. And this is the third powerful, empowering story, that we need to get along with others while we get ahead in our own life. And we do that by adding value, by creating joint wins, by creating joint wins with our family, joint wins with our organization, our teams and people around us, our colleagues, with anybody else, that a vendor, etc., that we work with, creating joint wins along with society, the community that we are, your band of professionals, etc. So constantly you are in that mode where dharmically you are connected to any relationship that you are in, the roles that you need to play, and within that, while you do story number 2, which is the story of think, act, and adapt, the karma story, you are ensuring the dharma story, dharma is upheld, you are adding value, you are creating wins continuously. When you do the karma story and the contributor story powerfully, people will cherish you. They will look up to you for guidance, look up to you for what you're doing as a role model. And as you keep growing with this, what you also have to do is understand that life is not going to be just fairly simple all the time. There will be changes, there will be challenges, there will be pressures that happen. Yes, I have said so many times that don't look at life as challenges, just look at life as life. But yes, if you get that sense that pressure is mounting, or if you feel anxious, if you feel fearful, if you feel excited about what's happening around you, and there are other negative feelings that are creeping in, then you need to understand the fourth kind of story is that of acceptance and allowance. Accept life the way it is, allow life to flow, and practice grace under pressure. And to practice that grace under pressure, all of the previous stories, being an observer of life, thinking, acting, and adapting, is going to be important. It's going to be important for you to contribute to others. But grace under pressure also comes from deep knowledge about self and others, deep understanding of your own emotions and managing emotions and working with others. And you have to have insights that you generate about life constantly, and that the wisdom quotient has to go up for you to practice grace under pressure. And also, with exposure over a period of time, grace can come to you if you have learned to deal with situations. But you need to constantly keep telling yourselves the story that life is about acceptance and allowance. Only then will you learn the lessons of being graceful. That then brings us to even deeper spiritual stories that you need to tell yourselves. That while you do everything else in life, you also need to have faithfulness and surrender. Faith and surrender to a higher power, your God, or whoever you believe in, whatever that power is. And if you're not someone who believes in any power, then it's about the faith on your own judgment or faith on your inner voice or whatever that is. But have that faith and surrender to some power that guides you, and continue your rightful actions, knowing that with the rightful actions, whatever are the rightful results will come to you. If something comes to you, it's rightfully yours. If something doesn't come to you, if life denies you certain things, then it is rightfully not yours. Or at that point in time, life is not prepared to give that to you. And that faith and surrender is very important. It's an extension of the previous story where you are practicing a lot of acceptance and allowance. But as you do your work, when results come, you will need to have faith and surrender so that you can accept any results that come your way, especially the adverse results of life. And lastly, the story that you need to tell yourself is the gratitude story. That you need to be thankful about whatever life has given you, your breath, your body, your life, your knowledge, people around you, whatever situations you're born into, and accept those contexts of life and just be thankful about whatever you have. And remember this: if you are aware that you are alive and kicking, you need to be in gratitude because you have the opportunity to go to the next step and see something more that life will reveal to you. But gratitude also as a word is very partially understood, because people say thanks, thanks, thanks to things in life, but they really don't do anything about life. So when it comes to the gratitude story, you need to tell two parts of the story. One is be thankful for whatever you have in life, and two is that whatever you have in life, including your life and resources, put it to good use, put it to good karma, like I said in story 2. So The gratitude story here is not a passive thankfulness, but it is an active thankfulness of being thankful for what you have and putting it to good use. Do this, practice these 6 stories, and you will see immense amount of peace, focus, and positive attitude come in your life for you to take actions. While in the previous video where I had said what stories are you telling yourself, and I had asked you to cultivate knowledge and deep love and focus and the sense of contribution to others, here are the positive stories that you need to tell yourselves to stay on track of positive, purposeful actions. At the end of the day, you need to think rationally, act purposefully, and adapt continuously. And for that, these stories of being an observer, the karma story, the contribution story, the acceptance and allowance story, the faith and surrender story, and the gratitude story are going to be immensely helpful to have positive noise in your mind all the time. Voices that are propelling you forward in a purposeful way. Wish you the very best in telling yourselves these positive stories.